Hello everyone. In last class we had seen the anatomy of cardiac system and completely we had gone through the cardiovascular system, how it functions, what is the role of blood vessels and how cardiac system is making an cardiac output and blood is circulating towards the whole system. Depending on that, various disorders which are the leading cause for cardiac disorders, and one of the disorder we are going to study is hypertension. So let's have a look towards the hypertension. Let's see this word. This is hypertension. There is an increased tension. So this is related to cardiovascular system. It is a vascular disorder, means we can understand from the word or terminology that there is a tension created in the blood vessels, that is the lateral walls of the blood vessels. So let's have a look towards the blood pressure's definition. So what I told you, lateral pressure exerted by the blood over the blood vessels. When there is a flow of blood towards the vessels, the blood is exerting certain kind of pressure in the vessels. So that is the sideways of the walls are being having a extension, or it is been expanded due to the pressure of the flow of the blood. So that is why it is called as blood pressure. So the normal blood pressure is, we are counting the range, that is systolic and diastolic. So systolic is 120 and 80 is diastolic blood pressure, and the unit for it to calculate the pressure is mm of Hg. That is, blood is being counted, blood exerting the pressure towards the walls is being counted in unit of mm of Hg. Simultaneously, what is the difference between the hypertension? Now, when there is an increase in blood pressure, so what definition we had seen is sustained elevation of that blood pressure. Continuously, there is an extension of the blood pressure. This is equals to, might be 140 mm of Hg, it is a systolic blood pressure, and diastolic, if it is extending more than 90 mm of Hg certain period of time, then it is called as hypertension. So let's have a look towards the normal heart and the hypertensive heart. So we can see here that the blood vessels which has been not able to exert the enough cardiac output, and all these things are leading to the myocardial thickness. So normal blood heart is having the lesser thickness of the myocardial or the ventricular tissues, but here in the hypertensive heart, the thickening of the ventricles has extended, the thickness of walls is being more than what the normal. So definitely its pumping system, that is the exertional pressure, that is preload and afterload, will also variate. So the filling will be lesser because thickness of wall is there, so it is lessening the capacity to hold the blood coming from the system. Classification of blood pressure. We have categorized into various forms leading on the range of the blood pressure. So first is optimal blood pressure, which can be systolic is lesser than 120, and diastolic, that is the lower limit of the blood pressure, that is lesser than 80. In normal it can be lesser than 130, and in diastolic it is lesser than 86. High normal, we can count the range is 130 to 139, and diastolic is 80 to 89. Now next, consider the stages of hypertension. Stage 1, we can see first stage of hypertension means the range is 140 to 159, that is systolic, and in diastolic it is 90 to 99. So we can count that this is more dangerous. Diastolic, if is increasing more than the normal range, it is getting dangerous for the patient. In stage 2, we are seeing the range is 160 to 179, and diastolic is 100 to 109. In last stage 3, it is more than 180, or diastolic is more than 110. So this is a categorization. We can know the various stages in which patient is suffering in hypertension. Even we can categorize the classification like primary hypertension and secondary hypertension. So what are the differences? Might be some causes may be responsible, or might be absence of the causes. So primary causes, family history is there of blood pressure or hypertension, habits of any kind of addiction is there, or any kind of habits for smoking or alcoholic addiction is there. Then next is obesity, overweight. We have already talked in regarding this, that cholesterol deposition is there in the blood vessels. Again, it is lessening the diameter of blood vessel, and definitely the blood will exert the pressure towards the blood vessels to flow towards the system. Stress, again, vasoconstriction will be there due to the stress, then there will be the pressure exerted by the blood will increase. Again, plasma level of renin is increasing. So this is a renin is an enzyme which is again creating a pressure towards the blood vessels in case the blood flow is not that consistent. So in that case, renin will increase, and that will increase the blood pressure. Age, geriatric conditions, arteriosclerosis will be responsible. Alcohol, cigarette smoking, the nicotinic substance which are responsible for vasoconstriction. Diabetic mellitus, which we will study, and this is again responsible for vasoconstrictions. Gender, especially in females, we can see sedentary lifestyle, excess dietary sodium, agar consumption of sodium is more, so again retention of the cellular extracellular fluid will increase, so that will again increase the volume of return, venous return will increase. So definitely if excessive volume of blood is returning towards the heart chamber, so it will be thrown to the system. So during that excessive throw, that will be increasing the vessels pressure. Socioeconomic status, secondary causes are coarctation of aorta. So the aorta is the greatest blood vessels that is throwing the blood towards the system. So if there is some kind of diversion in that aorta, that will be leading cause. Renal parenchymal disease, if any kind of tissue disorders in the kidneys, so that will be the leading cause. Endocrine disorders, many of the hormonal disorders when during replacement therapies of estrogen, so that will be again affecting the blood vessels or vascular system. Use of contraceptive, which is including the hormonal therapies. Use of certain drugs is also responsible. And pregnancy induced hypertension, because during pregnancy the overload of the uterus, and that pressure will be uh, increasing the blood pressure, and ventricular pressure will increase. Now, due to certain drugs or medication is also affecting the blood pressure. So this is what we have shown in the picture. Let's go towards the pathophysiology. Increase in systemic volume resistance and cardiac output, and rise in blood pressure. So whenever the system volume resistance is increasing and the cardiac output is increasing, so whenever the blood is flowing from the cardiac chambers towards the blood vessels, so there will be a rise in blood pressure. Vessels will have an exertion of blood pressure. What are the other factors responsible to that? The water and sodium retention. Previously we talked that if sodium intake is more, then we will just consume more of water. So just like a simple example, if salt is taken more in our diet, or suddenly we have taken a pinch of salt, we will be thirsty. So there will be an absorption of water. So body will consume, because of body will consume that water in the body, and their cells will increase the volume, so extracellular volume will increase. And definitely due to that, venous return will increase, because the fluid intake is more than what which was being required in the body. So system is again throwing the blood towards the heart, right atrium. So venous return will be more, that will increase what, stroke volume. So whatever the blood connection or fluid collection in the cardiac chambers have increases the preload, so that load will be jerked towards the blood vessels, that is increase in the stroke volume. And lastly, it will increase the output, that is cardiac output. Ventricles will pump, and it will be ejecting the blood towards the blood vessels, and therefore blood pressure will increase. Again, stress will increase the sympathetic nervous system activity. As previously we had talked that many factors are responsible for blood pressure to increase. These are nervous system activities, hormonal activities, electrolytic activities, which we have talked in the previous slide. That is, sodium is one of the responsible factor. So here what will happen, as soon as stress will increase, sympathetic nervous system activity will increase, and that will lead toward vasoconstriction. And if vasoconstriction is there, blood vessels will constrict. Okay, so normal diameter will become lesser, so that will blood will exert pressure, it will try to cope up to supply to the system. So that is why increase in systemic volume resistance. And if still it is not able to cope up, the renin enzymes release will increase in the body to manage that and to cope up the situation. Let's have towards a look how the altered renin angiotensin mechanism works. So as the renin will increase in the plasma, the high plasma renin will be released, and that will increase lead toward angiotensin, which will convert angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2, and again it will be angiotensin 2 conversion by angiotensin converting enzymes will lead to the vasoconstriction. So excessive vasoconstriction will be there, and again same thing will happen, systemic volume resistance will increase. And so again it will lead to what, aldosterone will increase, and lastly the sodium and H2O retention will increase. And again the same thing happens which was happening in the previous slide. What are the clinical manifestation when the patient is increased with the blood pressure? Headache, dizziness, might be patient will be bit giddy, or he will be fainting like situation will happen. Palpitations will increase because cardiac output is ejection fraction has increased. Again fatigue. Now just understand, palpitation is increasing because the excessive amount of blood has to be managed, it has to be thrown out. So ejection, for the purpose of ejection, that ventricles are pumping harder, and it is pumping faster than the normal range. So that is why palpitation is increasing, and that is why the fatigue will also increase. And sometimes that excessive blood load will not be managed by the blood vessels, and sometimes it will be leading to epistaxis, that will be nasal bleeding and blurred vision. Next is hematuria, that is blood will be coming out through the urine. Polydipsia, excessive thirst will be there. Muscle weakness will be there. Diaphoresis, that means patient is perspirating. Perspiration is coming out because exhaustion is there. Weight gain will be there because the extracellular fluid is getting collected, and due to that edema is there. What can be the diagnostic studies? History, physical examination, urine analysis has to be done for any kind of blood spots present, serum electrolytes and uric acid. Bilin urine nitrogen level has to be seen. Serum creatinine level has to be seen. Blood glucose has to be checked, as we have seen all the factors which were responsible to increase the blood pressure. Complete blood count has to be seen. Serum lipid profile, cholesterol or triglycerides are present in the blood vessels, and it can be checked through the serum analysis. Electrocardiogram can be done, and echocardiogram, again it will check the ejection fraction. How can we manage? So just go through the sign and symptoms and how the factors which were responsible. So I just had taken an example that if the salt intake is more, thirst will increase, so volume in the blood will increase. So we have to manage those basic factors. So always try to go for the conservative therapies. So to reduce the blood pressure is one of the goal of management. So we have to control the modifiable factors to prevent the further target organ damage. So we know that if the heart is ventricles are pumping harder, cells will infarct definitely due to getting exhaustion. And if the system is not able to supply the correct blood amount to the other organs, it will lead to damage of that organs. Next is to minimize the side effects of the drugs. So whatever drugs we are, definitely if the blood pressure has raised, we have to manage them through the hypertensive drugs, but it has many more side effects, so that has to be managed. So we have to see the non-pharmacological, that is conservative treatment, and pharmacological treatment. So non-pharmacological, that is whatever the factors were responsible for vasoconstriction and blood pressure raising. So even release of renin system. So we have to keep a control on that. That they were stress reduction, dietary control, reducing the calorie intake, manage the cholesterol intake, modification in the alcohol consumption. So addicted and substances will not affect the vasoconstriction. Avoidance of the tobacco product as it is having nicotine, explained previously. Physical activities to be managed. Next is pharmacological management. Now, in stage 1 and stage 2, we had seen previously that how the ranges were differing. So, if the pulse pressure is increasing, that is differences in the diastolic and systolic is much more than 40 mm of Hg, then we have to give a uh, combination of therapies. But in stage 1 and stage 2, we can go for the monotherapy or single drugs will work. So there are classification of antihypertensive drugs. Let's have a look. That is, example is diuretic drugs, beta blocker drugs, angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors, that was converting angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2, that has to be controlled. So inhibitor drugs are there. Vasodilator drugs, so it can keep a proper diameter to flow, let the blood flow easily. Calcium channel blockers can be given. In stage 2 and stage 3, poly drug or multi drug therapy has to be given. So ACE inhibitor, that is examples are captopril, and the 25 that is enalapril also can be given. Angiotensin 2 receptor antagonist, that is losartan, 50 mm of Hg orally can be given. Anti-adrenergic drugs, so adrenergic agents can be controlled. Alpha 1 blocking agents, so prazosin is an example. Alpha 2 antagonist, that is clonidine is one of the example, and commonly we are giving methyl dopa 250 mg. Post-ganglionic blocking agents, that is gunithirin and monosulfide. Gunithirin monosulfide 1 mg per oral. HS we have to give in the night itself. Beta adrenergic blocking agents, example is propranolol, olol. Whatever beta adrenergic uh, blocking agents are been having a terminal ending is olol. So if lol is coming, so propranolol is one of the example of it. Alpha and beta adrenergic blocking agents, that is labetalol, again 100 mm of Hg per oral BD. Twice we can give. Calcium channel blocker, nifedipine is commonly given, but other examples are diltiazem and verapamil. Vasodilators are fifth, that is hydrolazine, hydrochloride 1 mg can be given, or minoxidil can be given. Even commonly sodium nitroprusside is being taken, that is 5 to 10 micrograms per kg per minute. Hypertensive heart diseases, complications are of hypertension. So CAD, coronary arterial diseases, congestive heart failure, and hypertensive nephrosclerosis, stroke or cerebrovascular accidents, and peripheral vascular diseases, hypertensive retinopathy. These are the commonly complications of hypertension. So we have to control over these problems. Okay, lastly, we'll look for patient teaching. What kind of patient teaching we can give? So exercise, maintaining healthy weight, lifestyle modification is required to reduce the blood pressure and healthy levels. Medications like whatever hypertensive drugs we have seen, whatever has to be taken on time, that has to be, dosage has to be managed and time has to be managed. And low fat diet, so that should be which rich in vitamins and minerals. Okay, definitely follow the DASH diet potentially to lower the blood pressure. Regular exercises is required. Okay, check frequently the blood pressure, especially whenever you are giving the antihypertensive medications. Check that levels are managed. The upper range is not more than 140 and lower range is not more than 90. These are some of the food products that can be inhibiting the hypertensive conditions. So garlic is inhibiting the platelet stickiness or aggregation to help to reduce the blood coagulation, and it promotes the cardiovascular health, and we are all aware about certain of the natural therapies. Avoid smoking reduce the overweight, avoid alcoholism. Lifestyle has to be changed, that especially we are consuming lots of junk foods, that has to be avoided, and frequent exercises has to be enhanced.